Welcome to Thriving Thoughts, a podcast for women who believe in thriving in any and every circumstance. Every week, we have candid conversations with remarkable women about how they silence the little lies in their minds and overcome their shoulds, coulds, and not enoughs with big truths. I'm your host, Dr. Sherry. Now let's thrive. Hey friends, welcome to episode 6 of Thriving Thoughts, Fashionably Worth It. Yeah, you heard that right, girl. You are fashionably worth it. And my new friend, Kathy Friend, is here on today's episode to tell you all about that. You guys, I have so enjoyed my conversation with Kathy. I know you are going to as well. Kathy is a wardrobe stylist, but more than that, she considers herself a fashion therapist, and you're going to want to tune in and hear more about that. She's going to share with you some things about making a first impression and why presentation matters. And yeah, sisters, sometimes we need to get out of those yoga pants, into the shower, and into our best fitting jacket, which Kathy gives us a lot of tips on how to have clothing that not just makes a statement about the piece of clothing, but more importantly, makes a statement about us, right? She talks about how to present your package, your you, your beautifully crafted, unique you, in such a way that it will be highlighted and people will remember you and people will see your greatness and you will feel that you are worth it. So thanks for taking the time to listen to today's episode, Fashionably Worth It. Go ahead, listen in right now. You will be blessed, you will laugh, and you will be encouraged by my conversation with my friend Kathy. Hey, good morning, Kathy. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Thriving Thoughts. I am so thrilled and honored and excited, let me tell you, to hear what you've got to share with us today.
Thanks, Sherry. I am thrilled to be here.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And I am just so blessed because I got to be introduced to you by Carrie Spencer, who was on the show, I think episode number 2, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And she told me, she's like, you have got to get Kathy on the show. Like, she's perfect. And so then you and I had the opportunity to talk for a few minutes on the phone, which was wonderful. I mean, it was more than a few minutes, but not too terribly long. And one of the things that you said, and I actually took a gander through your website in the last couple of days. But one of the things that you mentioned in that phone conversation that I loved is you called yourself a fashion therapist. So
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, it's funny. What technically, I guess, what I do for a living, I'm a wardrobe stylist.
Okay.
And nobody really knows what that term is.
Yeah.
And I've been a personal stylist, wardrobe stylist since before that term was even a thing.
Wow.
Basically, I help people and organizations match who they are on the inside with what they look like on the outside. And so much of that is about who you are on the inside and more of a therapy thing, helping people see themselves through the lens that the world sees them.
Yeah.
As opposed to seeing themselves through whatever circumstance they're currently going through.
So you primarily work with business teams?
I work with business teams, colleges, universities. Every time of the year is a little bit different, but I do work with individuals one-on-one. If you've ever seen the show What Not to Wear.
Yeah. Love that show.
Yeah, basically I'm like Stacey London, but I'm a lot nicer and I don't give you $5,000 to go shopping. So.
Hey, why not? Wouldn't that be a great package?
That's a great business model. I should look into that.
You really should. I mean, now you'd have to go with some pretty elite clientele there, but to be able to charge for that. But I love what you're saying. So I have a couple of questions about that. I love how you're talking about how the inside is connected to the outside. And it's one of the things I've talked about. I work primarily with women on a coaching level and a speaking level, but one of the things that we know is that there is a huge mind-body connection. I mean, they're inseparable, right?
Right.
And so sometimes it really depends, and I'm sure you find this in your work, but I'd love to hear more about some maybe specific examples you could share with us. But sometimes there is it's like putting the cart before the horse. Like if I don't feel great, but I go and I take time to get in the shower, right? Get out of my yoga pants, do my hair, do my makeup, like that, just that. And then looking at myself and going, wow, Sherry, you look pretty today. That really has an impact on the inside. And I think sometimes that's easier for women to work on the outside first. Do you find that?
Everybody's a little bit different. I think sometimes, especially business owners, they're so focused on the business and making sure their brochure is right and the website is right, that many times women business owners don't understand that they are their product regardless if there is actually a physical product. Mm-hmm. And, the whole first impression thing. And if you were selling something that's new and wow and great, but your look and your clothes and your image is very dated, those two things don't match to a consumer.
Right.
So really, we are our own best product if we're in in an industry or if our job is selling something or a service. Mm-hmm. But even take that a step further. We've all been on those I got to lose 10 pounds kind of diets.
Yeah.
Oh, to give you an idea of what that might feel like, okay, consider this. So you think you've lost the 10 pounds and those jeans the skinny jeans. Yeah. We all have them, in our closet.
We don't always wear them.
Right. With a bright light shining on them, one day. Yeah. So let's assume today is that day. And we put on, the skinny jeans. Mm-hmm. And we leave the house and long about, 8:45 in the morning, we decide today was not the day for the skinny jeans. Yeah. I'm not quite there yet. Right. So then think about how self-conscious you are throughout your day. Yes. Your tolerance for the guy at the deli counter at the grocery store that gives you a little bit over 1 pound goes down. Right. And, the elderly gentleman in front of you at the stoplight that didn't notice that it turned green, wah, wah, beep, beep, get out of the way. And if you have kids, I have a 17-year-old daughter, the wet towel that is always on the floor of the bathroom might be the thing that sets you off. Just because if you're not comfortable in your own skin, all you can think about is, I want to get home and change clothes to be comfortable again. Right. And feel like myself. So making sure that, what you wear gives you that confidence. Yes. And you feel like yourself and you feel like the best version of yourself. That's just so helpful on a lot of levels, especially if you've got other things going on in your day or in your life and you need to kind of mind over matter to get it done. Yeah. One thing that I it's kind of been my tagline. It's become my tagline is, on your worst day, put on your brightest lipstick and your favorite high heels and go take on the day. I adore that, by the way. That's fantastic. I promise you that works. I've done it and I promise it works. And that's so great because sometimes I think like, I know I'll just speak to myself personally. If I'm feeling frumpy, I dress frumpy. It's kind of like I dress according to how I feel because then subconsciously, even though I would never say that's what I want, subconsciously it confirms what I'm thinking, what I'm believing about myself at the moment, right? And so that's what I think it's kind of like sometimes you have to put on the dressing to be able to part the curtains and be like, wow, look at me. I'm pretty amazing. Well, that negative self-talk is, it's so sabotaging in so many ways. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do, I would say 80% of my job is helping people through the negative self-talk, through the reflection that they see in the mirror. Yeah. And if your self-talk is saying, I'm over 50, I'm dated, I'm not relevant anymore, then that is exactly the way that you're going to present yourself to the world. Yes. Or if you're trying to get a new job and in your mind you're thinking, boy, I don't know if I can measure up next to these younger kids. Yeah. Well, then you can't. Then you're not going, you're not going to. Right. Right. It's not going to happen. Hey, got a question for you. What would you say, because I feel like there's a drift, like,
it used to be like, let's say with the baby boomers, for instance, like they would get dressed, and they probably still do. And I think a lot of people do, but they would get dressed up to go flying somewhere, right? To get on an airplane, put on your Sunday best or whatever it is, right?
Did you just hear Al Roker talk about that this morning?
I did not. Did he talk about that?
Just talked about that this morning on the Today Show.
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. No, I did not listen to Al this morning, but I've been thinking about it because I feel like there's a shift from this kind of respectable presentation, or really, I think it was looked at as a respectable presentation of yourself to others, but really it was a respect of yourself to put your best self out there. And there's kind of been, throughout the generational cohorts shifting, there's been this drift that I see where it's like, but be who you are, right? Like, let your personality shine through. And so now I'm thinking, well, gosh, who are all these personalities? Because when I get on an airplane, I'm seeing people in like, flip-flops, yoga pants, long t-shirts, sweatshirts, hair not done, like, and I'm not judging that. I'm just saying that shift has happened. And so when somebody says something like this, don't judge a book by its cover. What do you say to that?
That's fine, but that's not the way the human brain works.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, it's great, but go to the grocery store, go to Walmart. What do you say to yourself about people that are passing you? It's human nature.
Yep.
And, if you want to go back to cave woman days, the hunters and the gatherers.
Yeah.
Our brains are wired to quickly discern if the people that we come into contact with, are they people that we can use as a resource? Are they people that are helpers? Are they people that are our equal? Are they people that we need to quickly dismiss because they have no value to us?
Right.
That's just the way relationally our brains are wired.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, our heart is a little different, but that's not the way our brain is.
Right.
So, there's a first impression with everything. And you talk about presentation. And, back in the day, presentation was that was very important to our parents' generation.
Yes.
And presentation today is now called, I guess you would say, first impressions.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of research out there about that. But, I mean, think in terms of, me. You hire me to come to your house to talk about fashion and to explain to you what cuts and colors are best for you. And I show up in my yoga pants, sweaty, with my hair on top of my head, kind of like exactly how I am right now.
Right.
I mean, but what is your level of comfort with my
confidence
with my skill and ability?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We want people to look the part.
Exactly, and that's all that is. It's not being judgy against one another. It's just looking the part. And let's be honest, if you are a doctor and you look the part of a doctor,
right,
you're probably going to be taken more seriously, and you're going to be able to doctor more rather than convince people more.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. I mean, I just spoke to a group yesterday, and if I had shown up to speak with, my workout clothes on, like, hey, this is just who I am. Hey, I'm just one of you, which that's my heart. That's my attitude. But still, people are looking for a level of expertise, and that level of expertise is reflected in your presentation, in your first impression.
Absolutely.
Right?
You can absolutely still be yourself and show, your colors, if you will, your personality through your clothing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't do that.
Right.
I mean, but you can still wear a business suit if that's the appropriate for the situation. And maybe the business suit isn't navy or black. Maybe it's bright red, or maybe your shirt has, a crazy pattern on it or something. That's where you can show your personality. A lot of women the clients that I have that work in, finance, that in a man's world, they feel, they need to be very buttoned up. They show their personality through interesting jewelry pieces and crazy shoes.
And shoes, yep.
So, and it's, when all else fails, just put on those shoes. So, yes, ladies, I've now given you all permission to go shoe shopping. You're very welcome.
Woohoo! Yes, thank you, Kathy. I need to do that too. I love that we just got permission to go shopping. What's your favorite go-to place for shoes, Kathy?
It's changed over the years. In store, they're really isn't any place that I like to go. I can never find what I'm looking for. So
I know.
DSW and Nordstrom online is always where I go.
Yep.
Yep. If you can't find it there, it probably doesn't exist.
You're absolutely right. You know, the one thing I love about shoe shopping is, now, I do believe that you get what you pay for, right? And if you're going to go to, I don't know, if you're going to go to Payless and get some heels, that's fine, but they're probably going to look good and work for maybe 4 or 5 wears, right? And I remember so I'm going to like tell on myself a little bit here, but I remember I went shoe shopping at Nordstrom one year and I spent like a grip. Like I spent $1,000 on shoes.
Good for you.
I did. But you know, those shoes lasted me, and they were so basic and so like, I guess timeless, if you were to say. They lasted me for 10 years. So if you think about 10 years, $1,000 bucks, that's $100 a year. That's, you know, it's nothing. Plus tax.
Right? I tell my husband that they were like free. I paid basically tax.
Right. They were free. So, hey, I have another question for you. Because sometimes I feel like this word gets tossed around, and I feel like a lot of women don't really know what it means. And you touched on it a little bit on your website when you were talking about business casual wear. But I'm speaking specifically to the word professional. So like when there's a networking event and they say dresses professional attire, or somebody's talking about somebody and they say something that sounds pejorative, it's a character judgment. They say, that person didn't seem too professional. They didn't look very professional. So can you share some insights with us? What does that mean? What is it supposed to mean? And does that vary, or is there a professional standard?
There is a standard, but let's back it up. If you're going to a business meeting and they specifically say attire is business or professional, there's a reason that they're doing that. They're setting the tone for an event. So for you to show up in jeans and a sweater is offensive to the coordinators, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's just like if you go to a wedding and they say it's a black tie affair, black tie wedding, and you show up in a sundress.
Right.
That's not really black tie. That's offensive to the people that invited you to this event. So it's a matter of respect, the way that you dress, if the attire is stated.
Okay.
So flip that coin. So that's great. What is professional business attire? It really hasn't changed. What's considered professional, businessy for women is always going to be a skirt or a slack and a jacket.
Yeah.
Now I see a lot of ladies do the slack and then the blouse and think, I'm just going to put on a sweater. Well, the sweater, that takes it to business casual.
Yeah. Yep.
The jacket is what takes it from the hallway to the boardroom, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Color-wise, there's a lot of science behind what kind of colors wear. In my opinion, I don't care as much what colors and things you're wearing as I do the conservative nature and business bucket that the pieces you're wearing fall into. Now, talking about spending money on clothes, you can spend thousands of dollars on a good suit. And then you wear it maybe 5 times in your life. I don't know.
Right.
These are not pieces you're wearing a lot. So these are pieces you could get from some of those fun disposable fashion type places at the mall because they look decent. And you're right. They last a couple times, but they are not intended to last a lifetime.
Right.
So for those events that you have to wear something more businessy, or you'd like to have more variety with your jackets to mix it up with your pants and your skirts because you have this business luncheon thing that's, I don't know, a couple times a month.
Right.
Then go to the mall and don't invest a ton of money and go to some of those disposable fashion places so you can have some variety. That's perfectly acceptable.
What would you say? So there's a woman listening and she's like, oh man, I've got an event tomorrow and I have a limited budget. I've got or maybe it's not tomorrow, maybe it's next week. But I have a limited budget, and I love the idea of what you're talking about, Kathy. I love this idea of getting a jacket. Let's say I go to, Charlotte Russe or something like that, and I can pick one up for $15-20, right? What do you suggest is they should get? Should it be a black one? Should it be a neutral color one? Like, what should they get if they can only afford to have one staple in their closet that takes whatever they're wearing up to that professional level?
I think it's most important first to know what cut is going to be good on you, how long that jacket should be. The cut and the way that it fits can trump how much you pay for it. A very inexpensive piece can look like $1 million if it fits you well.
That's right.
So know what fits you well. Know that the shoulder seam needs to be on the shoulder. It shouldn't be a little lower because that will look too big at the top.
Good pointer.
A good jacket generally should hit you below the bottom curve of your booty.
Okay.
Unless, there's all, of course there's caveats to everything, unless you're shorter, but that's usually a good length. Make sure that it has princess seaming, that it nips in slightly at the waist. It's not straight up and down, so that you have, a nice curve to your silhouette.
Right.
Something that's, a little bit lower stance, meaning that at the collar, maybe it is lower on your torso than higher. So where it buttons more like at your stomach level, like where your rib cage is, as opposed to like at your collarbone.
Right.
So a little lower generally is going to be more flattering than higher on most people.
Okay.
So know what cut is going to be best for you. Look for those things. The second thing, of course, is color. And this is where when I do public speaking, I'm sure you can get this, the audience, everybody's like loving what you're saying. They're leaning in. Right. And then there's always one like bomb that you have to drop on them. And then everybody kind of goes, wait.
Yeah.
And then
that's not what I signed up for.
And then everybody's on their phone and you're like, come back.
Right.
Okay. So this is where I'm going to drop the bomb. Not everybody looks good in black.
No. Girl, say that. Tell us that again.
It's true. Not everyone looks good in black. So you need to be real about what your reflection is saying. So the colors you wear need to be in line with your own natural coloring. Okay. So for most people that are like of Irish or German descent, if we look at the contrast between our hair color, our skin color, and our eye color, there's not a lot of contrast going on there. Mm-hmm. So for those of you or those of us that have, hazel eyes or blue eyes and the medium to light skin tone and, dirty blonde hair to like light brown hair, right. That coloring does not look great with black because you have low contrast.
Yeah.
And if you think of the color wheel, the biggest contrast is black and white. So those two colors are not going to look good on you.
Okay.
So if you take it in, gray and cream will be better on you than black and white. So I didn't tell you can't wear black. I just said, don't wear black near your face. And if you do wear black, and that is your coloring, you will need to wear more bronzer, lipstick, and eyeliner so that we see you and not your clothing when you enter the room.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
And next time you go to a luncheon, just kind of take a gander through the crowd and notice whose outfit do you see before you see them. Usually it's because that color isn't the best color for them. It's too much, too little, too something.
So you just hit on something for me that I had never considered, because I think a lot of us, going back to what we were talking about when we fix the outside, it helps the inside feel good. And so sometimes we put on things that make a statement because we're like, wow, that makes me excited. That makes me feel good. And it may not necessarily fit with me, but what you just said, that was a little news flash to me, that you want people to see you first and not your outfit first.
Absolutely.
I love that.
If when you enter the room, if you think about this in terms of job interviewing, you want to be remembered as Sherry, the one with all of these amazing qualifications and this great background that we want to hire. You don't want to be remembered as the one with the red dress and the crazy shoes.
See, and I love exactly what you're saying, because you're talking about it's making sure that whatever you wear makes your package, makes who you are, right? The beauty that's inside of you makes that come to life, makes that the center stage and not the outfit.
Exactly.
Love it. Oh my gosh. I love that. That's fantastic. Hey, let me ask you another question about colors. Now, there's a lot of psychological research that's been done on colors, and you are probably much more up to speed on this than I am because that is not my wheelhouse. But one thing I remember reading was that colors that evoke trust, so if you want to establish trust and make yourself warm and trustworthy to somebody, that the colors to do that are navy and gray. Is that still accurate?
Look at the colors of just about every bank in America. I mean, think about it. You want to put your money in a bank that's trustworthy. You don't want to put your money at a bank that's really super creative and trying new things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
that's a good point.
And if you think about, the color schemes and logos for like advertising agencies, very rarely will you see one that is based solely on like black and navy. You'll always see some other color in there, or a lot of different colors to those kind of companies. And it's true. I mean, think about if you want to be seen as warm and friendly. Well, what are warm and friendly colors? Mm-hmm. Everybody looks good in like pinks, blues, berries, purples, navies. Those are warm, fuzzy, comfortable.
Right.
Go to Lowe's and those, or Menards or Home Depot, and they have those. They're like pamphlets, and you open them up, and they're like the moody blues, or the rustic, feel rustic, and it has all these different colors that fit in that palette. Uh-huh. That's that emotional feeling when you look at that palette, you get an emotional feeling from it. And if you think about, primary colors, red and green and blue, when you see those colors, what emotion do you feel? It's
vibrancy, happiness.
Right. It's very straight, very down the middle, very tried and true, very, it's what it was before.
It's a standard.
There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Those colors were great 100 years ago. They're going to be great 100 years from now. Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. I love that. So, man, great tips so far. I can't wait to replay this and listen to these again and highlight some of them in the details of the show notes. But so I want to ask you now if we can switch gears a little bit.
Sure.
Maybe you can share some of the success stories. And I say success stories very lightly because I don't believe that there is a true success story that has an absolute resolution where there's no more growth. I think we're always growing and we're always on a journey, right? So the success is in the moments. That's how I see it. But so what are some of those successes that you've seen with women in terms of when you start to do this fashion therapy with them, and what happens internally for them? What happens with their mindset? What have you seen?
Well, there's a couple examples that come to mind. One example is with a woman who had a fairly powerful position with an automotive corporation.
Okay.
She was always in a man's world, always felt very masculine in her own skin, which really her personality, I will say, wasn't very touchy-feely. Typical female would be. Started working with her because she was working towards retirement. And didn't want to wear a suit in retirement, even though that's where she was comfortable. So we started working together, kind of chipping off at the hard edges, kind of softening the edges just a little bit. After a period of time, got her some clothes, she retired. She called me and said two things that I thought were pretty incredible. She said, at her retirement luncheon, she walked in and stood in front of her peers, that she had worked there a long time, stood in front of her peers, and they actually stopped talking and listened to her, where before she always felt like she was forcing them to listen. They didn't want to.
Whoa.
And the second thing she said to me that personally I think is maybe even bigger, she said, for the first time in my marriage of 40 years, my husband told me that I look beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
And it was like mic drop. That's why I do what I do.
Wow.
And just, I mean, if you think of the power of that, and she, went on to say, I didn't even realize that he was never telling me that because that's not the way I saw myself. That wasn't my thing.
Right.
But once he did say that, the power that has for that relationship is tremendous. So, I get a lot of slack for what I do for a living. So no, it's not just a pant and a top.
Right.
It is so much more than that.
Right.
I mean, and one of the things my naysayers, okay, my pant and top can save your marriage.
Yeah.
Let me try.
That's powerful stuff because, so here's the interesting thing. So I work on, we both work on the inside and the outside because that's a package. You can't separate those two. But my focus is on starting on the inside and your focus is on starting on the outside. And we kind of meet in the middle. But sometimes, here's the fascinating thing to me that you're saying that you have naysayers. Because to me, like when I work with women, now I work with women who are in the space and they're ready and they know that there's work that they need to do. They know that there's things going on in their thought worlds that are not benefiting them or not being useful to them, and they're ready, right? But a lot of times the women who aren't ready, they're the naysayers. They're like, oh my gosh, you want me to like pay you to do work on me? Like,
Right.
And so I think it's fascinating that you said you have naysayers because when I look at it from my side of the spectrum, I see being able to work on the outside as maybe somewhat more palatable than working on the inside. Maybe not necessarily easier, but so it's fascinating that you say that you have naysayers too.
Well, and from my perspective, I think it's much easier to give myself a makeover to feel better here than it is on the inside. And quite honestly, in my personal life, my family, we've gone through a pretty horrible couple of years. And because of what I do for a living, I still have to put on, a bright smile and stand in front of crowds of people and be cheery and happy.
Right.
And that just proved to me in such a big personal way when I take the extra time to make sure that the presentation, the package is done up right, I can take a deep breath and I can do it. And there are days when I didn't want to. And there are days that I just didn't. I just like threw on something and went out the door. And I know I didn't give my 100% those days. And I feel bad about that. But I know that I didn't.
Yeah.
And, everybody goes through stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody does. And there's going to be periods of time when maybe your mental clarity just isn't there. And sometimes I think the clients come to me when they are going through those big changes and shifts in their life. I hate to say it, but lots of my clients come to me like right before or right after a divorce.
Really?
And
that's a major life transition.
In their 40s and 50s, they've been married for a period of time. The kids are out of the house and they either see the writing on the wall or they're considering it, and then they come to me. And it's interesting to see these women that perhaps are in a bad marriage and maybe have been told you can't do it on your own. And maybe I give them a little bit of their power back to see themselves in a powerful way that I can do it on my own.
Yeah. Well, it's super cool. I love that you say to see themselves in that light because, and the last time I checked, Kathy, I think the average woman, which there really is no average woman, we're all phenomenal, but the average woman looks in the mirror about 8 times a day. I would swear up and down it's more than that, but about 8 times a day. And so that is so much more frequent than we are actually, we're in our minds a lot, but we're not looking into our minds a lot. We're not delving deep in there to see what's going on in there. We know it's there. But for the mirror, for the outward appearance, we're checking ourselves out quite a bit to make sure, just to maybe not even to make sure everything's looking good, just to see what's happening there,
Right.
And so I think
make sure you don't have stuff in your teeth.
Right. Yeah. And so to give women that outer confidence and comfort and perfect match for them that they're going to look and see 8 times a day on average, that is powerful. That is the opportunity to show how powerful and confident and amazing they are.
And I think that helps change that negative self-talk that we were talking about a little bit. And I mean, let's be clear, we all do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do it all the time, and I have to really watch myself because I'm always trying to explain to my 17-year-old daughter, you need to be confident in your own greatness.
Yeah.
Believe in your own greatness. And she's an athlete. Don't get me started because we'll be here for like 9 more hours me talking about my kid. But,
well, but no, that's good because I wanted to talk about her. Anya is her name, right?
Yes.
And I saw a post that you made, and I want you to touch on this because I just thought it was so beautiful. So listeners, women, listen to this because Kathy may work on the outside and she also works on the inside, but her daughter is living proof of exactly the message that you share with women and with developing women because she said something on the way to school, I believe, one day that was just extraordinarily powerful that you had shared on Facebook at some point about her choice to be in a good mood or have a good day or
Well, this was when my daughter was probably in 7th grade, and like I said, my family's been going through some pretty crappy things the past 4 years, I guess. And it's kind of centered around my daughter. And it's been a very difficult season. And my daughter said something to me one day just out of the blue. She said, Mom, I wake up and feel horrible every day. I don't want to get out of bed. She didn't use these words, but I'm depressed. I'm, angry. I'm sad at my situation. I don't want to. But I know that I have to, and it's a decision, and I'm choosing to be happy today because, one, it's easier to be happy and go throughout my day at school. And if I want friends, I have to be happy. My people don't want to be friends with somebody that's in a bad mood and grumpy.
Yeah.
And when she was in, a bad mood and grumpy, a lot of times in terms of public school, that can be seen as bullying.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, it's do I want to be seen as a bully or do I want friends? And, if grown women could take advice from my 17-year-old, or at the time she was in 7th grade, just make a choice to be happy.
Yeah.
That doesn't negate all of the junk that's going on.
That's right.
That doesn't mean you don't have every right in the world to be mad and angry at the situation that you're in. Of course you do. But that's not what we're saying. We're saying don't let that situation take over and define you. If you choose to be happy, then you will win.
Yes.
That's the glory in all of it. And I think my daughter, now that we're several years past that, is seeing, and there are days that she's not, and that's fine because, I'm her mom and she can give me all the grief, which is amazing.
Yeah.
That was sarcasm. But I think, she's learned that life lesson that I'm winning because I'm choosing to get good grades and I'm choosing to, to still participate in my sport and I'm choosing to be happy. Mm-hmm. And, I wish women could, that's, the bottom line of almost everything I do. That's where my heart is. Yeah. Everything is a choice.
Yes. Speak that truth, girl, because I got to tell you, I love what you're saying about I'm choosing and using that language because so many times we just lie to ourselves and say, this situation has made me a miserable person, or this situation, my past has caused me to be a dark person or whatever. And what you're saying is the absolute truth. No, we can go through situations and we can have reactions. We can have emotional reactions. We don't have any control over the initial reactions. We do absolutely have a choice of what we do.
Exactly.
Of where we decide we want them to go. So this coming from your then 7th grader daughter, incredible. We can learn huge lesson from her.
That kid is wise beyond her years, I tell you. It's sometimes the stuff she comes up with, I'm like, what?
So what is she let me ask you this. So I'm gonna ask you a question about 3 generations. I've been Facebook stalking you a little bit, so I saw.
Yay! I love stalkers.
So I saw a post the other day that you had written about this kind of myth of, I think many of us women face, like, I don't want to turn into my mother. And you had talked about some of the things that you realize now, like I am my mother in so many surprising ways. And so you're learning a lot about, I would imagine that you've learned a lot from your mom, and still are, about what it means to be a powerful and a confident woman, and you're learning that from your daughter too. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if you can just touch on that a little bit, what that's like for you to be in the middle, and how you learn from both of them.
You know, it's funny. You know, as we're growing up, we always look at our mom and we're thinking, I am never going to be like her.
Yeah.
You know, with the eye roll and the whole 9 yards. And even now, because of my mom lives 4 hours away from me, but I have a lot of business where she is. Okay. So I get to see her quite often. And even now, I think I just turned 50. So I don't think my mom realizes.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. I don't think my mother realizes that I'm a 50-year-old woman.
Right.
I mean, there are times it's so funny because my mom will still say to me, like, I have long hair, and my mom will still look at my hair and go, wow, the hair is getting a little long, isn't it? Which is, her way of saying it's too long. And
right.
I get to her house, and, with kids, at least in my house, there really isn't a sense of privacy so much when you're in your parents' house.
Right.
I will still be in the shower, and my mom is coming in talking to me like, Mom, are you kidding me?
I'm in the shower, Mom, and I'm 50.
Right. And it's funny because, just the parallel life I think that I lead. Then I leave my house, I come home, my daughter's in the bathroom or in the shower, and I go walking in and say, hey, do I have your laundry? She goes, Mom, could you wait till I get out of the shower? I'm like, wait.
And there it is.
My life right there. There
That's
it is.
Fantastic. And why is it, I have to wonder, why do we fight so hard against that? I think maybe it's like at a younger age, we think like, I don't know, we know more than our moms, and what they're thinking or what they're doing is so antiquated or backwards.
And I think a lot of times, maybe, and you probably get this in talking to women too, I think there was a period of time where it was kind of trendy to blame our parents for all of the ills in our life. So I don't want to turn into the person that caused all these issues for me.
Right. Right.
But even if you were dealt a really horrible hand in terms of who your parents are,
yeah,
there's still redeeming qualities in everybody, and there's still personality traits that you're going to pick up. And what you think is normal probably came from the way that you were raised.
Yes.
Everything from, do you have dinner together or don't you have dinner together? All of those little things. And it's so funny now. Even in my family, we always sat down at a certain time and had dinner together every day. That's it's just the way it's always been. My grandparents were like that. My mother's like that. We're like that in my family. And sometimes I travel, and my husband will tell me that when dinner time comes, my daughter will appear in the kitchen and look around and be like,
right. Like, this is how we do things. Where's dinner?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sitting down now, and where's the dinner?
It's like Pavlov's dog.
That's exactly what it is. That's so funny. That is so funny because I always call her, I jokingly call her my little puppy.
Oh.
but it's I think, at a certain age, if you can embrace those things about yourself that are from your parents or from your upbringing, there'll be a time when your parents aren't there.
Yes.
And you'll be grateful for all of those little annoyances. Mm-hmm. The things that annoyed you about your parents are probably the same things that you do to your own kids.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We pick up their habits, but at one point we think they're bad habits. But I remember thinking about my mom. Like, I thought, gosh, she just is such a stick in the mud, like she's very, my mom is very disciplined, and I am not. Like, I'm so not. I need to surround myself with other women who have discipline or other people who have discipline to help me. Right. And I know that about myself, and that's okay. But now I look at her and I'm just in awe, like just in awe at how this woman has just everything she's done for her marriage, for me and my brother, and just the example that she's lived. And she would never, ever admit to any of that, you know. But I see that woman as a pioneer, like amazing. So if you're younger and you're listening, right, you might be struggling to find that place. But I think you're right. I think as we get older and we start to exemplify those traits or those things that are from our upbringing, we really start to appreciate them because hopefully we love ourselves for who we are and who we've become, right?
Right, right.
So, Kathy, I have so enjoyed having you on the show today, and I want to do a couple of things as we wrap up. One, I always ask every guest to leave one piece of truth with the listeners, with the women listening, that if there's something that you want them to remember from today's conversation, what would that one thing be? And then I want to give people listening the opportunity to connect with you and work with you and learn from you. So we want to know how to do that too.
Okay. Well, the one thing that I would like to leave with everybody or want you to take away from this is you're worth it. You are worth it. Model for your kids, model for your friends, your coworkers, what it's like to be okay with taking a little time for yourself. If you want to be the best employee, the best mother, the best wife, the best partner, the best friend, the best business owner, the only way to do that is to take a little time for yourself. So it's not selfish for you to take an hour a day and go to the gym. It's not selfish for you to take some of your family's budget, you know, if you have it there, and maybe buy yourself something new or get some new makeup or get your hair done or your nails or whatever. That's not a selfish act. You know, there's the buzzword self-care is out there right now. And I don't really like buzzwords, but I'm
with you.
That's just me. It's just my thing. And that's my problem. But I think, you know, beyond what you might think of it looking like, what is it really showing to your family? You know, for me, I believe that I'm trying to be the best me that I can be so that I'm the healthiest and I'm the happiest and to have the most love in my heart and to get rid of the anxiety and animosity I might have in my heart and my mind so that I can be the most present with my friends and my family and my clients. So give yourself permission to do whatever it is that you need to do do that. It's okay. An hour a day is not going to make or break any project, anything. An hour a day for yourself is acceptable.
Well, and it's and I would say it's beyond acceptable. It's necessary.
Absolutely.
When I was speaking to a group yesterday, I said, you guys realize that every one of us walking around is like a giant human gift basket. Like we have so much amazing stuff to offer. And when you give somebody a gift basket, you make sure that it's gorgeous. You make sure that the things in it, they're not used, they're not defective, they're not old and stale and expired, right? You make sure that everything is fresh and everything is brand new and nothing is opened. So if we are a gift basket, if we are a human gift basket, we have to give that gift to somebody, we have to take care of it. We have to make sure it's fresh. We have to make sure we're not stale. We have to make sure we're not expired. So,
well, even if you think about that gift basket, I love that because don't you want the gift basket to be pretty?
Yes.
So it's okay to be pretty, ladies.
Yeah.
Don't think that that's a weakness. I mean, use your beauty as power. It's okay to be pretty.
Yes. Absolutely. I love that. Thank you. It's okay to be pretty and you are worth it. And it is not selfish to take time to take care of the gifts that you have to give to other people. So Kathy, how can the listeners get in touch with you? I know we will include all of your social media links and website in the show notes, but what's the best way for them to reach out to you and connect?
On all social media and everywhere you want to find me, it's just kathyfriend.com. Kathy with a K, A-T-H-Y, friend, as in your best friend, F-R-I-E-N-D.
I love that.
And so
is that your given name?
It's actually my ex-husband's. The only good thing I got out of him was
Hey, girl, keep that name. I love it. It's fantastic.
I was like, I like the name. It works really well, so keep
Right.
it.
Right.
So kathyfriend.com is my website. You can find links to all my social media there. Or if you just want it, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. I do most of my social media communication on Facebook, but I'm all over the place. Just look for Kathy Friend.
Perfect. All right, my new friend, Kathy Friend. Thanks so much for the time that you've spent with us today and just the truth and the beauty that you've shared with us women, that we matter, we're worth it, and it's not only okay, we need to take time to take care of ourselves. So
absolutely.
Thanks for joining me today, and hopefully we'll have you back to have some updates here in the near future.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
As always, I'm humbled you chose to join me this week for Thriving Thoughts. It's women like you who listen, subscribe, and give us thoughtful reviews that allow our message of thriving in any and every circumstance to reach even more women who need a healthy dose of truth speaking. I'm Dr. Sherry, and I'm grateful to be your Thriving Thoughts host, where we're shifting perspectives and speaking life to you so you can thrive. Be sure to tune in next week and share this episode with a friend. Until then, remember, overcome your little lies with big truths.